Hi everyone, my name is Lavender Organza. I want to talk about something that has been on my mind since I watched the last Canada's Drag Race episode. I know that there's been a lot of comments over the last week on social media about various things about women. There was a huge debacle last season in the American Syndicate of Drag Race about women being on the show, and there's a lot of entitledness that is happening with the community that I don't think is very healthy. I think it's pretty toxic, and I think the aggression towards women is really unnecessary. I think it's really gross, actually. So if you didn't see the last Canada's Drag Race episode, there was some discussion about Bachelorette parties. Basically, the conversation was about how Bachelorette parties are really obnoxious and how they can get too wild and try to take up the performer spotlight. And I will admit, I'm not a brunch girl, but I do know that that's typically where Bachelorette parties go. I have been to a couple of brunches and I've seen a few Bachelorette parties, and they were pretty mellow. The conversation that happened on Canada's Drag Race kind of made it seem like every single Bachelorette party is just wild and obnoxious and takes up too much energy and really distracts from the performers. And there may be some people walking away from this who feel alienated from drag shows now, or there may be some women who feel alienated about going to drag shows for their bachelorette party. And I don't think that's fair, because the reality is that there's good people and there's bad people in the world. Sometimes, yes, there are people who get a little obnoxious at a drag show. There are just as many gay boys who, you know, distract from the show just as much. And there's always that one little gay boy sitting in the corner, little Twinkie bottom boy, who thinks that he can sing better to Call Me Maybe than the queen on the stage, and is like getting his life, doing his zhuzh, doing his thing, and like distracting from the show. So it's not just women. There are also men who are doing this. There are plenty of people at the clubs who do this, and I feel like a broad general discussion of, well, women do these things on top of already the commentary that's been happening about women from the drag race community and the fandom community in particular, I think is not really the best message to be sent out, because the reality is to paint women as these like weak creatures who are just awful and distracting is unhealthy, one. And two, it really takes away from all the wonderful things that women have done. And three, it really alienates all those allies who have been working so hard for us. Because look throughout the history books with gays marching for their rights. And who was it? It was trans women. It was, you know, cis women. Traditionally see women rallying behind gays and the LGBT community because they know what it's like to struggle and to be told, you know, you are not good enough, you are not whatever, and they don't want that same impression to happen to us. And truly, honestly, anytime I've ever gone to a show, my biggest supporters, the loudest ones, who are yelling for me and are cheering me on, are my straight girlfriends, not my gay friends who should be coming to the club with me. They're busy douching and listening to Lady Gaga back at home. They're not coming to the clubs. And it's this toxic masculinity and this heteronormative verbiage that's being spouted out that now our community is starting to absorb that and spitting that back out, and that's not healthy. And we really need to watch where we're coming from and check our privileges when we're saying things about women, because the reality is that we would not have our rights as queer people if it were not for women. And I will say that about straight women and lesbians, because Joel Kim Booster said it best. While the gays were making apps to try to grab other gays and drop them in traps and rope them in for hookups, lesbians were out getting our rights for us. Lesbians were out marching. Trans women were out there throwing bricks and evading the police, and straight women were there supporting them. So I think that conversation needs to stop, and I really think we need to be careful about how we're saying things. And that's that on that. So, bye. Follow me on Instagram, link below.